Is Colson Montgomery a top 100 player in baseball? Is Brooks Baldwin a famous composer of yore? All of this on the CHGO White Sox podcast next. CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio West of our West Loop offices here in Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson, being produced today by my pal, Sarah.
Welcome back, Sean.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Shout out to my Aunt Katie. We remembered her on Saturday, so I was in State College, Pennsylvania. Never got the chance to visit when she was alive, and that's a big regret because that place would have been a lot better with her. We had as much fun as we possibly can, but man, I don't know if Pennsylvania's the place for me. I do love my home of Chicago, and I'm glad to be here and only here, and have never moved. So thank my family for staying here. But yes, shout out to my Aunt Katie. Hey, you know, cancer sucks. I think people have said that a lot before, and I think that's the biggest thing to take away. A person that fought tremendously, and it's completely unfair that they're not here. Not going to talk about it any further because I'll cry. Then, too, because you get to take 2 plane rides and then you get to stay in a hotel. I think I got sick, but I don't know completely. Just more stuffy, so I didn't want to get people sick as the Bears are in the divisional round. I got the delight of a life to get to watch the Bears game with my Packer family. I have my cousin Jeffrey, who is 1 month older than me. We used to live right next door to each other for the first 7 years of our life. I was a Bears fan. He was a Packer fan. And it felt good to reignite the rivalry. He now has a child, so I don't know if he's really into fighting about sports anymore. He was fairly tame. I was a loud mouth, as you probably would expect. And it was great to not panic as much as I thought I could have. I kicked my hat once, but I also think it was a rally kick. Because then the Bears started scoring, and like they have now 7 times, come back and won in the fourth quarter. If you want to go to the tailgate, we have, I think, one final tailgate, unless the who's the number 1 seed? The Seahawks lose.
Yes.
So if the Seahawks lose, then we can get another tailgate. What I'm just saying, that things need to happen for another tailgate. This could be the final tailgate, even if the Bears win. So if you do want to come, check out our tailgate. Go check that out. There's also a playoff offer to become a diehard. You could join at $36. Head over to allchgo.com/join. We also have new merch, too, that I just bought.
Did you get the...
Just sent $60 to my own employers.
Did you get one of these?
I didn't get one of the great ones, or it's always FGB.
Did you do the other collection?
I did this one. I did go with the retro Iceman logo.
Yeah, this is good.
So I love that damn man.
Yeah.
I love Caleb. He's undeniably cool. There was a meme I saw of Michael Caine crying at the end of Dark Knight, and it's just he's the coolest guy I've ever seen. I think Caleb Williams is the coolest guy I've ever seen. It's maybe like D Rose. If D Rose played football, he just does things you never expected him to do, or players before him to do. And he's not the biggest guy, right? He's not, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady at 6'4", 6'5". I think even Manning might have been 6'6". But he just, that 4th and 8th play, I think they're talking about it every single day.
Every day.
On CHGO Bears. I'll talk about it on CHGO White Sox. It's an exciting time to be a Bears fan. And God, I hope the White Sox deliver us that moment soon. Anyways.
You want to know what I love? Both the Colson and Colston of Chicago.
Well, and you know what? Also, I've brought this up before. The name that's going to plague Chicago suburbs in about 8 years, in every 3rd or 4th grade and 5th grade class, there's going to be 2 Colsons, and there's going to be 3 Colstons, and then you're going to
Yeah.
have, Colston A, Colston C, Colston M, Colson Z, Colson A. It's going to be a mess for these poor damn teachers. Do you like the name? I think it means like coal. It literally means it's Old English for the word.
Well, we have a
coal.
Comet, Colson, Loveland, and then a Colson Montgomery. There's just a lot of. I would prefer Cole, if anything, because that sounds just better.
I like Cole the most. We're going to talk about our Colson Montgomery, ranked as a top 100 player. The Bears did put out, before they took on Green Bay, a collage of celebrities saying good luck White Sox. It was Candace Parker. It was Dwayne Wade, right, etc. Jake Johnson of New Girl. Oh my God, he's a Bears fan.
Luke's cousin
was on the field.
Dipshit Derek.
We're not.
We're on fast. That's why I thought about it too.
I never watched that. I didn't know that was his character's name.
That's his character's name is Dipshit Derek,
Way to go,
aka
Derek.
Luke's cousin.
Yeah. Delightful Derek.
Excuse me, it is Delightful Derek as well. He has 2 nicknames in the show.
We don't need to get into spoilers, but Derek from Stranger Things. But Colson Montgomery was in there. And I think half the reason why the Bears came back from 21-3 is because Colson Montgomery said, good luck, Bears. All right. And that's White Sox pride right there. That's a Northwest Indiana kid. We know he's a Bears fan because if he's a Colts fan, we'll find him. Anyways, Colson was ranked as a top 100 player by MLB Network. Just to go through the top 20 that they've released so far, they're going to continue to release them 20 by 20. The first 20, 100 to 81 have been released. So we got Dylan Cease at 100. We got Carlos Rodon at 99. At 98, we got Ivan Herrera of the St. Louis Cardinals, the catcher. 97, Hunter Goodman, the catcher of the Rockies. 96, Drake Baldwin, the catcher of the Atlanta Braves. At 95, Ben Rice, the first baseman of the New York Yankees. 94, Kerry Carpenter, outfielder of the Detroit Tigers. 93, Vinny Pasquantino, first baseman of the Kansas City Royals. 92nd, Shea Langoliers, catcher of the Oakland team. 91, Brent Rooker of the Oakland team as well. I know they're not Oakland, but I don't care. 90, Andrew Abbott, pitcher for the Cincinnati team. 89, Cole Reagans of the Kansas City Royals. And drum roll, please. 88th, shortstop Colson Montgomery of your Chicago White Sox. Players that beat him out, Zach Neto of the Los Angeles Angels. Willie Adames, 86th on this one. He was formerly 41. 85th, Matt Chapman was formerly 38. 84, Aroldis Chapman. They're not related. 83rd, Edwin Diaz. 82, Mike Trout. Ever heard of him? And then 81, Jose Altuve. But 88 for Colson Montgomery is absolutely huge. In the chat, we do have... Thank you, Hawk. We do have TS 1964 responding to the title. It's not a question of is he, it's the fact that he needs to be, which I think is a really fairly dramatic thing. I was surprised that he was a top 100 player. I don't know if Roman Anthony, the godsend from Boston, is going to be on this list. If he is, he's going to have to be in the 70s. Roman Anthony, though, top first prospect in baseball, 21 years old and 71 games, put up 2.7 FWAR. Well, it sounds like the 24-year-old shortstop in Chicago that put up 2.7 FWAR. He also put up 3.3 BWAR compared to Roman Anthony's measly 3.1 BWAR. So, if there's excitement over Roman Anthony, I know there's a 2-year difference, but these are both former top 10 prospects. I think that there's real excitement over Colson Montgomery. This is just a little absurd. I think half of it is because, again, you want to at least get us White Sox on there, so throw him in there. Is he that much worse than Zach Neto? No, I think you can have that conversation. And even then, Adames plays himself into this major contract. And I think the thing that we have to consistently think about with Colson's power at shortstop, with his 23 homers in 71 games, and the defense that he did show, this might be a player that is our shortstop even over a Chalowski, even over a Caleb Bonnemer, who we'll talk about in the show. Billy Carlson, the former top 10 pick. Colson Montgomery, if he works out, is easily the best shortstop of the bunch, because it's rare to find a shortstop that big with that type of power, and so far, very early, only 71 games, with this type of defense. Let's go to Rosen Jordanblum. He puts together the Oopsie meter, I believe, for Fangraphs. And that's not it. Sorry. It's this one. And he projected the outs above average for defense coming up. These are flipped. So if you do see third base, yeah, it's okay. If you do see third base, it's shortstop. If you do see shortstop, it's third base. So the left column is third base. The right column is shortstop. You could see that, and Jordan clarifies, it's a small sample size. He's likely to be hit with regression. But you could see that a full season of outs above average for Colson Montgomery puts him at the third best defensive third baseman. And then you look at shortstop, he is right where Francisco Lindor is, a little bit under where Dansby Swanson is, above Willy Adames, who's 86th on the list, only 2 spots above him. Colson Montgomery, again, had an incredible first 71 games in his. There we go. Then Sarah flipped him because she's a star. You could see if this is Colson Montgomery's true defensive self, which really wasn't talked about in the prospect ratings, but those can be wrong. This is a game changer. Rock Chalowski, I don't think could ever hit 35 homers in a season. And that's no disrespect to Chalowski. It's just extremely difficult for a shortstop to reach those numbers. We've brought it up before because I do think Colson has 40 homer potential, but the only other shortstops in Major League Baseball history to hit 40 homers at the shortstop position is Alex Rodriguez, should be a Hall of Famer, hit 696 home runs in his career, and Ernie Banks, who, again, is a Hall of Famer, is Mr. Cup. Could Colson Montgomery be Mr. White Sox? Again, Chalowski is extremely interesting. Bonnemer is extremely interesting. But if Colson Montgomery is what he showed in 2025, it's not ever anything I expected him to be. So to go to TS's question, it's not a question of is he, because again, I don't know if he was, and MLB Network is saying he is, but it's the fact that he needs to be. I kind of see him as house money. He was a top 10 prospect in all of baseball and fell completely out of the top 100. The shortstop position was completely his in spring training. He was competing with Jacob Amaya, and the only reason he didn't get the job was because he was hurt 3 games into it. So when our pal Luke McDowell asks on my thoughts on Colson being ranked in the top 100 in the Die Hard Discord and asks, does it put more pressure on him only in his second season? First of all, it shouldn't. If any player is looking at that and saying, oh, well, I should be 82nd, not 88th, I think you are probably looking a little bit too much online and not just working. And I think Colson Montgomery has wanted this. I think Colson Montgomery has died to be a major leaguer. There's the story that My Sox Summer told on From the 108, where I believe this is true. Maybe it's wrong, but I do believe My Sox Summer, where he went to Cork and Kerry for a pregame signing with Colson, and he was asking, how excited are you to be in Major League Baseball? And he was like, I was kind of just ready to be here. Like, I think he was just sick of minor league baseball. And the fact that he was able to go out and in 71 games hit 21 homers, it allows you to dream. And it allows you to think like this could be a top 10 player in baseball if everything goes right. He can easily next year be out of the top 100. But if he is, oh well, he could be replaced by Bonnemer, Carlson, Chalowski, whoever. But I think he shows easily that even with a small 71 game sample, he could be a franchise cornerstone at the most important position if things played out like they did in 2025. I think he'll be hit with some regression, but I do think that it's close that he can hit like 30 homers. Might be a 219 average, but he might hit 30 homers. And if he's an above average defender, you got yourself a shortstop. If not, maybe it makes it a little bit easier to slide him over to third base. If Vargas doesn't perform at third base, maybe he finds himself a position at third base. But right now, that's my shortstop. Where are we at break-wise? Perfect. Right at 15 minutes. We're going to take a break. I'll talk about the other kids because, I think Carlson's pretty far away. Bonnemer was just in the top 10 for Baseball America in shortstop prospects. We'll talk about where Chalowski, I think, would rank in those rankings. I do think it's above Bonnemer. So if we are talking ETA, I think the next shortstop to likely replace Colson Montgomery, if it doesn't pan out at shortstop, is Chalowski. We'll talk about all that after the break here on the CHGO White Sox Podcast. We want to let you know about our friends over at Bet365. With Bet365's early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets, and parlays get marked as winners. Download the Bet365 app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. And with the Chicago team playing on Sunday night against the Los Angeles team, you could take advantage of their $365,000 jackpot that's given out in bonus bets. Place a $10 bet on the first touchdown scorer and get a split of $365,000 in bonus bets if your player scores the final touchdown of the game, payable regardless of if the first touchdown scorer bet wins or loses. Name Sunday night jackpot for that promo. So go check out our friends over at Bet365. Sign up using code CHGO365. Whether you win or lose your first bet of $5, you get $200 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, total, player props, futures, and more, because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referred services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Four Seasons. For all the right reasons, call 866-4-SEASONS. Winter is here. Is your home's heating up for the challenge? I walked maybe a block today, and I was cold to the bone. It is very, very cold out, so if you don't have heat, you are likely cold in your home. If you want heat in your home, call our friends over at Four Seasons. If you have a plumbing emergency, call Four Seasons. If you have an electrical emergency, call Four Seasons. If you need a new hot water tank installed today, call Four Seasons. Now is the time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune-up. If you're thinking about a whole home generator, we've got you covered. Four Seasons are your trusted local experts for heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electric, and generators. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric has been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. They guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, and generator needs with no extra charges for nights, weekends, or holidays. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. They've been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox Podcast. I'm Sean Anderson, produced today by our pal Sarah. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Hi. Ryan in the chat already saying, first thing I always do is like the video. That's a perfect CHGO YouTube member right there.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Look at the yellow badge right there. Yeah. That's
and
special.
If you want to become a YouTube member, I'll put the link in the comment section.
And if you do want to be like Luke McDowell, you can become a diehard and join our diehard Discord, whether it's talking Bears, Blackhawks, White Sox, Bulls. We have a ton of channels, Big Ten as well. You could celebrate the IU National Championship that does seem incoming with Gary. Scan that QR code, and you do get a free shirt when you sign up. You can get the Iceman shirt. You can get a White Sox diehard shirt. Well, I don't know if this one counts. Oh, there's a t-shirt of this. You can get this in a t-shirt. Is that one orange? Both colors. Yeah. Boom. There you go. So going to Colson and just rounding out Luke's question, does it put more pressure on Colson in his second season? The thing you have to remember is that the pressure is always on these players. And maybe some of that is relieved by getting an extension before you ever play, a la Eloy Jimenez, a la Luis Robert Jr. Maybe that does take off some of the pressure because the first 7 years are kind of given to you in a way. Eloy Jimenez is now signing a minor league contract with the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll see how that goes. I still believe in Luis Robert Jr. I would have given him a 7-year deal. I just talked about giving a deal to Noah Schultz until he's 40. So, hey, maybe taking the pressure off is something good, but the pressure is always on. I mean, Colson Montgomery wants to be a major leaguer for life. He wants to change his life with a major league contract. And again, if he's a shortstop hitting 40 home runs, A-Rod changed the market with that. I don't think he'll be an A-Rod type player, but even the guy that he's comped to, and Corey Seager, got $325 million from Lockheed Martin. So, I mean, good for Corey Seager, and I think that's what Colson Montgomery wants. And I think a little bit with Colson, too, like, they deserve a little bit of grace. Some of these young prospects, it's similar to the Cam Newton thing about Keon Coleman, where, rookies come in and they can be cute and have their shtick, like, oh, he loves cookies. But like that stuff wears off 4 years when you're still kind of making mistakes, not showing up to practice, not showing up to meetings, and not producing like a number one receiver. Fans are ready to kick you out. So if Colson Montgomery has like a fine season where he hits, still 20 homers and is above average defensively, but strikes out a ton and maybe doesn't walk and maybe has some batted ball luck data, with a low BABIP, high exit velocity, high expected slugging, batting average, etc. Like if those numbers are kind to him, like I'm not going to be down on Colson Montgomery. I saw what I wanted in his first 71 games, and the other thing too, he didn't get the job out of spring training because of injury. So it's very, knock on wood, possible that flares up again. We've seen that before with White Sox prospects, haven't we? So I don't know if there's pressure on him, but I think, well, I know there's pressure on him. I think there's just the same amount of pressure for all these guys. And Ryan says, I think the signings and younger talent will take some of the pressure off Luis Robert Jr. He'll still be talked about, but you have other players to talk about as well. And hopefully that does the same with Colson Montgomery, right? Edgar Caro, Kyle Teal, Shane Smith are all on the same timeline as him. So he knows that he has, in a way, the same amount of grace as those other players. I mean, you can look at Luis Robert Jr. in the way. Like, he probably really kind of woke up when Andrew Vaughn was gone. Like, oh, I'm the only one left. Like, there's no Michael Kopech. There's no even Matt Foster hiding out on the 60-day IL. Like, I am the only player left from 2020. Maybe that woke up a little bit of Luis Robert Jr. But I do think that, being in the top 100 for Colson is mostly just a thing for us fans to celebrate, the team to celebrate as well. And I think Colson, again, it's just seeing that as a target for next year, that he just needs to be on the top 100 again. I don't know if that, again, creates pressure because, the pressure was to make it to the major leagues. He did that and passed with flying colors. I don't think he's like, oh, well, great, check. Like, I wanted to make it in sports media. I love being at CHGO. Would I want to talk about just Chicago sports in general? Absolutely, because, I think I could do a lot more than just White Sox, not in a bad way, but, hey, it's just, that's, I think, competitive nature for any person, especially any young person. I think that's just how the world works. So I think it should be, at the end of the day, mostly exciting for folks that Colson Montgomery's at 88. 89's Cole Reagans, too. I mean, Cole Reagans looked like Garrett Crochet's counterpart for a long time. They're in, 2023 before Reagans hit injury in 2024. So I think that it's just super exciting that the fact that, Cole Reagans, I know, can take a jump into the top 50. I even think Colson can take a jump into the top 50. At the end of the day, I mean, hopefully we see more than just Colson on this list. Maybe we see Murakami. Maybe we see the return of Luis Robert Jr. He's probably on a different team when he does that, though. I just think that there's definitely a lot to be excited about. And, hey, you can look at 99 on 100. It's Dylan Cease and Carlos Rodon. So if we kept them, maybe we have more top 100 players. I also wonder if Kyle Teal was an honorable mention. They didn't list it, but Hunter Goodman, Drake Baldwin, Ivan Herrera, I would take Kyle Teal over all of them. Drake Baldwin wins the National League Rookie of the Year, and I do think that Kyle Teal was the better catcher. I think Baldwin played for longer, but I at least would take Kyle Teal long-term over Drake Baldwin, but that's just me. And even Langoliers. I know Langoliers just got a really great contract from Oakland or Sacramento or I guess Las Vegas, whatever. I do think that Kyle Teal easily could be a top 90 player next year. If he's able to repeat his 70 games that he had last year. Just watch out for Teal. I think that could possibly jump on there. Real quick, going back to the projections for the third base, the use me PNG. I don't think, and again, he is top 100. So that's the thing. Bro Rubio, MLB Network put him in the top 100. It's not that he's not in the top 100. He is in the top 100. Anyways, third base projected to be the third best, quote unquote, defensive third baseman, projected to be a top 10 projected shortstop, even if he is where Corey Seager is, or Trey Turner, or even Jeremy Pena. Hey, Chase Mydros right under Jeremy Pena. If he's able to produce offensively like those guys, again, this is going to be a player that is extremely valuable. Matt Chapman, again, there at 4.9. I know Chapman is obviously really heralded for his glove, especially in his early part of the year. But can Colson build out his body to be a little bit more of a consistent performer offensively? I think that's where, the exciting part of Colson's career is going to come. Anyways, let's move on. Let's go into some minor stuff. I do have things that annoyed us So we'll talk about that a little bit later if we do have the time. Let's talk about the Baseball America's top 100 or top 10 shortstop prospects. Number 1, Connor Griffin of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Number 2, Kevin McGonigal of the Detroit Tigers. Number 3, J.J. Weatherholt of the St. Louis Cardinals. Number 4, Jesus Made of the Milwaukee Brewers. I just want to say Jesus made, but I think it's Jesus Made. Then Leo DeVries of now the Las Vegas / Oakland / Sacramento Athletics. 6, Colton Emerson of the Seattle Mariners. 7, Aiden Miller of the Philadelphia Phillies. 8, Sebastian Walcott of the Texas Rangers. 9, Caleb Bonnemer of the Chicago White Sox. And 10, I wrote Bryce Renier's name weirdly at 10 of Detroit. And I put a star by Emerson's name because obviously Bonnemer is a White Sox, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Emerson is a player that I've brought up consistently with Rock Chalowski. Same prep shortstop class. Emerson obviously gets picked by the Seattle Mariners, signs with the Mariners. Lombard Jr., not the one that's obviously in the upcoming draft, but the one that was in the 2023 draft. I think it's Jacob Lombard Jr. He also signed with the Yankees when being selected. Rock didn't like the number that he was selected at, decided to go to UCLA, and it really has built up his caliber. And when we talked to Joe Doyle last week, that's the last show we did. It was a fantastic show. Shout out to Joe Doyle again of Overslot Podcast. He mentioned that he does think that, this is a top 20 prospect immediately when drafted. And if Emerson, a player that is his counterpart, is in the top 20 currently, it isn't too crazy to say Chalowski's on a similar timeline to Emerson. I mean, this could be a player that, drafted in July could make the opening day roster next year. So while Caleb Bonnemer being on this list is very exciting, I do think that Caleb Bonnemer has still got some grace to maybe build up his profile just a little bit more. There is talk that maybe he could be a third baseman as well. Maybe he's a shortstop and third baseman. I just think that it's very, very exciting for White Sox fans because, you're wondering what could they do? And that is the best possible scenario because the answer just used to be like Leury Garcia. So this is the answer used to be Jacob Amaya. The answer for a little bit there was Vinny Capra. Colson Montgomery, again, no one was expecting that he even have these 71 games. So if it doesn't even pan out in 2026 and he's not, again, a top 100 baseball player after 71 games, I wouldn't be hitting the alarm because we've had hit rock bottom. We're going to be graced with, I think, Chalowski, and he's going to enter the game of baseball as a top 5 shortstop prospect. Bonnemer is getting a ton of great reviews, but again, if Colson, it really depends on what Colson does in 2025 or 2026. So, I'm just gotta watch, and I think thank God there's a reason to watch White Sox baseball, and it's not even Murakami who's a reason to watch baseball, or Shane Smith, the All-Star, or Sean Burke, my guy, or even Anthony Kay. I know Bobby Kay is going to be watching because of his brother Anthony Kay, but Colson is the reason to watch because it really truly defines the franchise. And if they're going to have a player for the next 4 years, 5 years, I guess that wasn't a full season, so 5 years, or if this will be a player that might get easily outplayed by a Chalowski, Bonnemer, or Carlson, which is a little bit down the road, if his play doesn't match his 2025. All right, let's get into break. Let's hit a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We will talk about Brooks Baldwin and how he compares to a classical composer. We will also talk about Drew Romo. We'll talk about Luis Robert Jr. being a Yankee and Kauffman Stadium on the CHGO White Sox podcast. They're ringing in the new year over at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake with hot deals all month long during their Ray Resolution sales event. Stop in today and drive home with 0% financing for 72 months plus no payments until spring on all new Chevrolet models, or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you'll be sure to find the perfect vehicle for you at Ray. And as one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you'll get a great deal with Ray's Price Promise. It lets you shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. Very simple. The price you see is the price you pay. Go see for yourself over on Route 12 in Fox Lake. You can also check them out at raychevrolet.com. Don't miss out on their Ray Resolution sales event going on all month long for 0% financing for 72 months and 0 payments until spring on all new Chevrolet models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Old National Bank. Probably the best billboard game in Chicago. If you are driving on I-90, I believe that would be south on I-90, I-94. If you're north of the loop, going down, you usually have a great shot before you see the city. They're very topical, Old National Bank. And whether it's on the field or in your financial life, the best teams win by delivering excellence at every level. At Old National, they believe every play matters. From everyday checking to long-term planning and commercial banking, their team is here to build momentum and help you move the ball forward. So whether you're celebrating a win, rebuilding, hey, Sox fans, after a tough loss, or gearing up for whatever comes next, they have your back with tools, guidance, and an expert crew that is always in your cold corner. Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Member FDIC. Shout out to Old National Bank, because that's my first time doing the read. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox Podcast. And I will be upset if you don't like the video. Listen to Ryan. Sarah will be upset as well if you don't like the video. So hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. I think we have 20 people watching and 13 likes. So, hey, 7 of you do your job. But we'll take it. I appreciate as many people who have liked it. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We're just growing day by day with every Bears win. So
become a diehard and whatnot.
Go Bears. Yeah, become a diehard too. It's a great price right now at $36 for the Bears being in the playoffs. All right, let's go through some minor things. Real quick, I did see this floated out by James Fox on, I think, Thursday or Friday. And then someone just quoted foul tweet. I think it was Sam Phelan. Or Noah Phelan. Noah. Just tweeted out a foul territory clip about how Bob Nightingale said that the Phillies would likely have to eat $17 to $20 million of Castellanos' money. And it just makes no sense to me. Like, Chris Getz has already come out and said that Andrew Benintendi will likely be getting a brunt of the DH opportunities in 2026. You also have to find a spot for Caro and Teal to be weaved in and out of that DH spot. And then what the hell will Lenyn Sosa do for this team? It does seem like Lenyn Sosa will be making the roster. So you're going to take on a third possible spot to just clog up the DH position. I don't want to see Nick Castellanos in right field. I don't want to see Nick Castellanos in left field. The last thing I would like to see is Nick Castellanos as a White Sox. I think if you're going to focus on a player that is worth, I don't know, about $17.1 million, maybe we focus on Andrew Benintendi just leaving the team because he actually provides zero value for them. You would have to eat money on that contract. That doesn't seem smart. He's easily been the worst White Sox signing in history. I think he is worse than Yasmani Grandal. At least Yasmani Grandal had those 93 games in 2021 where you look like Barry Bonds of a catcher. I'm fine with the fight between him and TA. Who cares? People fight. Doesn't matter. That team won a division championship. Andrew Benintendi wasn't on that team, and I don't like him. He stinks. Nick Castellanos is fairly, at this point, right-handed Andrew Benintendi. He's a little bit taller, but just as worse defensively. And I don't know if I love the bat. So Castellanos is a White Sox. I would say no. Let's go to John Heyman. Right after the Cubs signed Bregman, Heyman came out and said that the Yankees have shown interest in Nico Hoerner and Luis Robert Jr. in trade. I think that this makes sense. Obviously, if you're interested in Cody Bellinger, I think you'd be interested in Luis Robert Jr. Robert brings a little bit more speed. I think he brings better center field defense. And if you believe in the power, Yankee Stadium would likely just help him out because he could easily hit a homer to the right center gap. Like, if anyone's going to be helped by a shorter park dimension for a U2 games, Luis Robert Jr. is absolutely that player. Now, do you want Luis Robert Jr., Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton all in the same team with that fragility? Likely not. But I think it's very good for the White Sox that another team has shown interest. It seems like right now at the current asking price, the Mets are not interested, the Phillies are not interested, the Pirates are not interested, and the Reds are not interested. If the Yankees are interested, maybe it drives up that price. maybe the Yankees are a little bit more acquiescent to that price. It's a good thing for the White Sox for another team to be interested in Luis Robert Jr. because it just makes the possibility of him getting traded real. Do I think it happens before the season? No. I think he is likely going to be their opening day center fielder, and I think that it's just in their best effort to see what he can do for 3 months. And if he gets hurt, oh well. You really can't. Like, I don't understand why that player gets hurt as much as he does. So, again, it's kind of an oh well situation if he gets hurt. But I think it's in their best interest because I do think that he can possibly get his value back to a very attractive level if he has the first 4 months of the season that I think he can have. He looked extremely rejuvenated with the young players around him. Colson Montgomery, Edgar Caro, Kyle Teal in the second half. Injuries, again, came back to bite him. But I do think that if he played 120, 130 games, I think it might be maybe not as good as 2023, but I think maybe a little bit more well-rounded than 2023. Maybe not 38 homers, but probably more stolen bases than that year. Maybe a little better defense than that year. I really do still believe in Luis Robert Jr., and I think it's best that we do see a completely different team come in for Robert. And Ryan brings up a decent point. Seems like the Yankees, if they lose out on Bellinger, they could be calling for Luis Robert Jr. I find it weird that they're not interested in Tucker also. If the Blue Jays are interested, if the Mets are interested, just feel like
Tucker's asking for too much.
The Yankees should be interested in. I really don't think he is. If I owned a baseball team and I was a stupid millionaire or billionaire, sorry, millionaires can't own baseball teams anymore. If I was a billionaire, I'd give that man
I mean, that's valid. Yeah.
Millions of dollars.
That's valid.
You know, like I get the Cubs like going away from Tucker to get like Bregman. So like I can understand saying some players are not maybe worth that level when you could still spend maybe that level twice so you can get two players, two's bigger than one. But if Juan Soto's worth that, Tucker's worth that. And I really do think Tucker compared, if you put Tucker with Aaron Judge.
That's a hot take, I feel like. But no. I want to hear what do you.
But if you put Tucker and Aaron Judge in the same lineup, like that's a pitcher's nightmare. Having to go righty lefty with those those players' plate discipline, and also if you had that protection for Judge, I don't think he gets exposed like he did in the 2024 playoffs. Like Tucker in a Yankees uniform would be gross.
My halt on Tucker for Cubs and White Sox, honestly, is he's amazing, but he's injury prone, and we saw that. And it's like that's my thing where it's like, do you really want to pay him millions and millions of dollars to have him maybe not play for half a year or half a season?
Again, I think
that's where the gamble for me comes in, not his talent, but the reoccurrence of his downfall.
I don't know. I mean, since 2021, he has,
and I want the Sox.
Since 2021, he's played the same amount of games as Bryce Harper. I mean, he's played more than actual, I think, injury-prone Carlos Correa and Yelich. And again, like he's 20% better than those players. Like he's very comparable to Bryce Harper, who I wish the White Sox gave hundreds of millions of dollars to. Like if Bryce Harper was making $300 million or $330 million as a White Sox right now, I'd be wearing a Bryce Harper uniform. I as a fan who will never see hundreds of millions of dollars in my lifetime, I hope that Kyle Tucker gets that money because he's absolutely a good player. And too, like, I think he played through injury, and that was his big issue last year. And of course, a player is going to play through an injury in a contract year because it kind of shows grit and it shows silent leadership. I don't know. Half the reason the Lions signed Scott Mitchell in 1994 was because of his silent leadership. I forget the coach who said that in NFL Films. I just watched Worst Contracts, and they talked about Scott Mitchell's silent leadership. So I don't know.
I do disagree on the silent leadership take with Kyle Tucker. I think a lot of it, and this is, I don't know anything, but I think that he was kind of playing through it all and being selfish in the sense that he knew he probably wasn't coming back to the Cubs and wanted to have, obviously, the highest highest bidder. I think it was geared more towards that with him, and that's also another thing on why I would never want that kind of player to go to the White Sox, where they don't really need that type of like energy. I feel like they need positive vibes and young vibes, and also some veterans that can lead vocally. And this is just my opinion.
No, and I hear you out. And also, he's got
I'm
like
looking out for you guys.
He's got like 500 more plate appearances since 2021 over actual injury-prone Luis Robert Jr. No. I'm just like I think we know injury-prone to be Robert. Like I don't think Tucker is that injury-prone. But no, I don't know. I'll welcome any $100 million player on the White Sox.
Yeah, you want those players in general. Yeah, totally.
And here, let's talk about a $100 million player. The White Sox claimed Drew Romo off waivers. They DFA Ben Cowles. Corey Lee is out of options. I do think it's likely that he's moved before the year. My current projection does have him making the 26-man roster. I don't think it's the worst thing if they carry 3 catchers, because it does allow them to put Teal and Caro both in the lineup at the same time, and I think that that's what's most beneficial for the White Sox. I'm fine if Andrew Benintendi plays left field if that means Caro is catching and Kyle Teal's our DH or vice versa. I think Romo, though, does give you the opportunity to have a solid AAA catcher, and that's all he is. I don't care what he hits, weighted runs created plus. He's a guy that can go out and catch a full season in AAA if needed. Claiming him really doesn't mean much. He's got 2 options. It just likely means either the end of Corey Lee or the White Sox carrying 3 catchers. I think he's probably dealt for a reliever. Maybe he's dealt for like a young Dominican teenager, but I think that this just is a very smart claim by the White Sox. They did not need Cowles in the grand scheme of things. And the worst thing is they could designate Romo for assignment, and if he does clear waivers, you have a player with 2 options that can be a AAA catcher. I don't know if Romo is going to be lighting up the waiver wire. I don't know if teams would be clamoring to claim him. I think it's a smart claim by the White Sox, but also this could be a player that they could possibly even sneak through waivers again if Corey Lee does end up panning out for the White Sox and being their 3rd catcher or whatever. Final thing, Kauffman Stadium is moving their walls in 10 feet and lowering them by 1.5 feet. And I have come out with watchability ratings for the AL Central stadiums. Ryan also mentioned Corey Lee going to the Phillies. He can see. I agree. I think that it doesn't seem JT Realmuto is going to be their catcher. So Corey Lee could be a guy that, helps them. Maybe they get a lefty hitter, and it could be a Corey Lee lefty catcher platoon. I don't think Corey Lee would be terrible for that. All right. Kauffman, though, moving in their walls 10 feet and lowering them by 1.5 feet. I think that this is absolutely huge. I think this is going to make games at Kansas City a lot more watchable. I feel that it's fair to say that was the least watchable stadium in the AL Central. I really hated their dimensions. It really felt like if you weren't pulling down the line in right field or down the line in left field, home runs were fairly difficult to come by. And that's why they were so cool to have the fountains out there, because it kind of gave you something to hit for anytime you hit a homer. I like the fact that this is going to provide a lot more watchability for Kansas City Royal games, because we're going to be playing like 7 of them a single year. So first on my watchability ratings, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins. Target Field, I think it leads to exciting baseball. Although the walls are high, they're fairly deep in. So if you get a high launch angle, it's decently easy to hit a homer in right field. I do like the ability that gives you for doubles and triples as well. It is a very slugging friendly park, as shown by the fraud 2018 Twins that hold the MLB home run record. I do think that Minnesota Park does lead to a decent amount of watchability. I also love the decks. I love seeing a triple deck homer or even a second deck homer. Those really hit nice at Target Field. At second, I think this change is going to be great for Kansas City. I think that there's probably going to be less of a frustration with Kansas City games, because it always felt like Kansas City was able to win cheaply. If they go out and they're just hitting homers from Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Garcia, and Bobby Witt Jr., their wins will feel a little less cheap, right? Like, they have really good pitching. They have a lot of power if they're starting to bludgeon us with homers, I think it will make losing to Kansas City a little bit more terrible or a little bit more tolerable. So I'm going to put Kansas City 2. Third, I'm going to put the White Sox. Previously, it used to be a hitter-friendly park, but I don't know what's currently going on with Chicago Winds, but it has even hurt Wrigley Field and Guaranteed Rate Field. I should have a meteorologist on to explain this, but I think over the past 3 years, it has dampened our park. You're seeing less homers than typical, and this already wasn't really a double or triple-friendly park. So I think that right now, Sox Park has just been a little bit because there isn't anything truly unique to it, and the warmth of Chicago and the ability for that ball to carry in the summer, I think really helped it. We're not seeing that, so I think the watchability's been down. Obviously, I usually like watching games at the cell/the rate, so I like typically Sox Park, but hasn't played out well recently. 4, I'm going to go with Detroit. I think it's too big. You can't really hit a homer in center field. And even then, I think it's similar to Kauffman or old Kauffman, where you really had to pull it down the lines. Hitting it into that bullpen in left center field's really difficult. Hitting it into right center field over that like weird wall is extremely tough. That's why Castellanos had like 50 doubles in 2019 or whatever with the Detroit Tigers, because he was just able to hit that right center wall consistently. I don't think it's like awful baseball, but I don't know if it's like the best fan experience. And then Cleveland, ugly. Even though they lowered they created a wind tunnel behind hitters, and it's kind of allowed for a little bit more home runs. I still hate that ugly green wall in left field. I think that their walls are fairly too high, and I just hate that like platform over the wall. It is one of the ugliest looking parks. I hate Jacobs Field / Progressive Field. Awful, awful, awful park with a cheap team. I absolutely hate Progressive Park. It is disgusting. They should probably just knock it down. All right. I think we should just wrap it up. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. Weirdly, we didn't get to things that annoyed us, so maybe we get to that tomorrow. Wait, we do have one great comment. Sorry, do you have the comment? No, it was a screenshot I sent to you. We have one comment from a week ago. All right, so Ugly Toaster CR said, Sean, can you please talk more about the GOAT Brooks Baldwin? I feel like he came out of nowhere. What's his ceiling, and why is it Johannes Brahms level? Johannes Brahms is a former composer. What I know very, 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 very shallowly about Johannes Brahms, critics used to say that he was in his head off, and I don't know if that's good for baseball players. The thing that I like about Brooks Baldwin is that half of his face is completely covered by eye black, almost to a cancelable way. He's such a little boy. You see him with his hat on, you see him with his helmet on, his massive amount of eye black. He just looks so little, and you know, it's an extremely exciting story, because I think he's a 12th rounder from UNC Wilmington, and I think that his best thing is going to be his ability to play multiple positions. Maybe that is the Johannes Brahms that you're talking about, because Johannes Brahms was able to pull from the classical and also the modern, right? He had a lot of respect from what music came from, but he also liked people that were experimenting a little bit. I'm not a classical music guy, but I could see a little bit of Brooks Baldwin and Johannes Brahms. But I think the main thing that's exciting about him is the 122 weighted runs created plus in the second half, like Luis Robert Jr., like Brooks, like Colson Montgomery, like Kyle Teal, like Edgar Caro. Brooks Baldwin seemed to also enjoy the youth movement that was going on in Chicago. So I am extremely excited about Brooks Baldwin. I do think that his best ability is playing multiple positions. So if he is forced into a center field role, if Luis Robert Jr. is traded, I think that's going to dampen his progression a little bit. But if he's able to go from left field, third base, second base, right field, center field, right, and really bounce around, I think that's where his value is going to be made, because of his ability not only to play every single position, but also fit in the lineup either against the lefty or righty with his switch hitting ability. So I'm over the moon about Brooks Baldwin. Excited to see him. We have pitchers and catchers reporting in pretty much a month. I think full camp will be reporting. Scott Merkin reported this today, February 15th, and the pitchers and catchers report on the 10th. So less than a month away, we will have baseball. I am so excited. I know everyone else is excited. We got Sox Fest coming up in about 15 days. I think we'll have some coverage coming for you for Sox Fest. Hello. So make sure you stay tuned. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show. We will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.